Hello, my name is Derek, Coach Talking Fitness People. I'm also a teacher and a coach, head coach of a couple different debate programs in my career, and currently the owner and main guy at Autonomy Debate School. So, I've been in education for quite a few years, and in this video, I'm going to talk about frameworks of education. So, if you're familiar with Common Core, and if you're a public school teacher in the status quo, then you are familiar with Common Core. You know that there's been an emphasis on increasing direct instruction of, reasoning skills, critical thinking stuff. They want to provide students with deductive reasoning problems. They want to have them do a lot of high-level abstraction, okay? So, one of the education frameworks that we have to consider when we're discussing how to actually proceed educationally is, why are we educating students, for what purpose ultimately? What do we hope to accomplish with the given school day? And one of the things we know is that it's intentioned to produce an informed citizenry. Another is that, and much often more cited, is that it's designed to produce a job-ready citizenry. A citizen ready to do useful things to make money. So, it's got those two ascribed purposes, but ever increasingly it says that the additional purpose of it is to prepare students for college and to make sure that they have a high level of thinking and a high level of writing, a high level of capacity to critique going into college. So really the question then is going to be, how best to attain this mastery of conditionality webs, which is really what they're talking about. Well, they're talking about a few different areas, but they're talking about two kinds of intelligence in particular that they want to see increased. Number one is what one might call extraverted intuition plus introverted thinking kind of intelligence. That's the kind of parsing debate intelligence that says, I can critique this position and explain why it's wrong. I can establish a position. I can argue it persuasively. I can understand which reasons support an idea and which reasons don't. I can maneuver between reasons to create links that cause things to be interpreted differently than they were prior to the linkage. So all those things are elements of the extraverted intuition form of intelligence that's being prioritized by Common Core. That's going to be represented in the deductive reasoning problems, the stuff on fallacious thinking, and any of the direct instruction stuff, basically. The other kind of intelligence that's prioritized in the status quo by, like, say, state officials or administrators, or what people want to see, is the kind of it's the algorithmic intelligence that says you're able to learn a process, which is an algorithm of some sort, a set of steps leading to a particular solution, and you're able to execute it well, consistently, even in highly complex manifestations of it. That's going to be manifest more in things like math and chemistry and stuff like that. So when we're talking about the skill sets that are being prioritized in the status quo, when we're talking to politicians, superintendents, big administrators, things like that, they're going to be talking about two different kinds of things, but they're not necessarily going to be differentiating between them. So it's up to us as teachers to make sure that we explain back to our administrators that, in fact, these are two distinct types of thinking, and they actually are not complementary. They're complementary, but they're not likely to concur in this one individual a great strength in both of them. That chances are your smartest kids are going to be really smart at one of those and not the other one. And the reason being because they link very much to the INTJ, ENTP coin, right? So the INTJ, ENTJ, INTP, ENTP, those four types are going to be the ones who are most imbalanced in favor of their respective type of thinking. INTPs, ENTPs will be your debaters. ENTJs, INTJs will be your chemists, your astrophysicists, stuff like that. Although I must say, INTJs can be excellent debaters, and of course, ENTPs and INTPs can be great at other things as well. I'm just saying that the most natural fit in terms of their type of intelligence is as indicated. So, given that this is the fact, that we're talking about two different kinds of intelligence, and given that Common Core is trying to prioritize it by teaching it directly, the question then is elicited, ought we teach it that way? Is that the best way to accomplish it? And to what extent are we trying to skip stages of development to the student's detriment rather than to their benefit? When I was trained how to teach by one Mr. Charles Samuelson, my not officially mentor teacher by any credential program, but instead my employer who brought me on to teach me how to teach and to teach some classes and stuff, I, after a certain amount of fussing at him, became a willing and grateful student because I realized this guy's an incredibly good teacher and what he's doing is really hard. You know, at the beginning you know so little you don't even realize that it's difficult what you're being asked to do. And you assume you're doing it well even if you're doing it poorly. He taught me a method of teaching that is very old school. We did a lot of sentence diagram with the students, and it was very much ordered. Like, the paper has to be right. If you don't follow the formatting instructions, he would tear it up and say redo it. And I was required to write in cursive on the board because that's how we did things around there. So the thing about that is there's something of great benefit to that process of taking a given piece of work very seriously, of practicing it out like that, of utilizing rulers to draw all lines, make sure they're all straight, of having it be as perfect as possible, and of getting used to adhering to high standards. It's really useful, but I think it should be taught to the students that that's what they're learning as well, that the metacognitive part be put in place by the teacher, and that's going to have to be a communicative thing. So the other advantage of using grammar as a foundational learning modality instead of going straight into the critical thinking thing is that understanding grammar means understanding how to interact with conditionality webs, because if you teach it right anyway, it's a matter of understanding that any given word can function as a number of different possible parts of speech in any given sentence, and that their nature, their identity, which part of speech they are, is determined by what they're doing. And so there's a logical process of deducing a given part of speech from its functionality or its relational aspects regarding the other words in the sentence. If I, for example, have a sentence that says, whoever brought these pies is an angel, because these are delicious pies, okay? Whoever brought these pies is an angel. The subject of the sentence is whoever bought these pies, because it's a noun clause that represents the thing that is an angel. Is a linking verb because it only expresses equivalence, and that makes angel a predicate noun following the linking verb is and renaming the subject noun clause whoever brought these pies. Now, brought these pies, brought is the verb of the noun clause, and pies is the direct object of the noun clause, and thus an adjective describing the noun pies. So the thing is, all these things are deducible if you learn the system. They're all inherently deducible by figuring out what something is doing and then having it collapse out like a logic problem. Grammar is an excellent way, therefore, to get students to understand how to navigate complex conditionality webs with multiple variables, because that's exactly what it is. If you're saying, here's a sentence, what is this word doing in the sentence? You can't, if you don't have the sentence, you can't answer that question. If I say to somebody, what part of speech is dog? Well, it's for almost any part of speech. It certainly could be a verb, I'm dogging you. It could be a noun, that's a dog. It could be an address, a personal address. Yo, dog. It could be anything. It depends where it goes in the sentence too. It could be like the book about the dog. In that case, it's an object of the preposition. It's a specific kind of noun, right? Or if I were to say, yeah, well, whatever. The point is, grammar is a good way to start. And if you don't understand grammar, don't be embarrassed about it. You're not alone. Nobody does, unless you got lucky like I did and got somebody teach you when you're an adult and you can understand it. But I used to teach to my middle schoolers. I tried to get them to understand all of English grammar by the end of 8th grade. Not many of them did. I wasn't a very good teacher at first. It took me a while to get the hang of it. Anyway, good luck in your school years, and good luck with your teachings of your children's. And for God's sake, don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. That's the only thing that's going to make it okay this school year for you to get through all the way to next summer vacation in one piece. Plenty of cheese eating.